moving slowly and hunched over as if all her muscles were racked by uncontrollable spasms. But in the woods, she can hold her breath for an hour. Sometimes she lies down so still that moss spreads across her shoulders and maggots squirm their way into her mouth, thinking, "This ripe carcass here is a real treat." When she coughs, maggots shoot out of her mouth. One time, the son of that gypsy family, the Hoggarts, was walking home drunk along the seashore when he spotted a burl on a tree. He was sure the burl hadn't been there before. "Hey," he called out, "don't you be hiding from me or I'll choke you like a rat." The burl didn't move, so this Hoggart boy pulled a knife out of his boot, sat down on the side of the road, and waited. He woke up the next morning with a crumpled piece of paper stuffed in his mouth. As he pulled it out, 3 baby teeth fell out of the folds. On the paper was a message, "Rokkelo yikiachat." Afterward, no Suvikylä gypsy ever walked after dusk. They all rushed to the parking lot and piled into an old Mercedes, glowering at people through fogged-up windows as they drove off. Granny Hatchet despises electric lights. She loathes them. At night in the dark, you can hear her shrieking and cursing. The noise is frightful. She sounds like a woman who has lost her voice but is still forcing herself to keep on screaming. She hacks at rotten trees with her hatchet and yanks moss off rocks as she scurries by. She nails squirrels onto tree stumps, leaving their little skeletons for berry pickers to find in the fall. When she sees a robin's nest, she whacks at it until only bloodied feathers remain. She won't tolerate any sort of screwing around on her land. Should she catch you making out on her property, she won't forget until your shameful deeds are settled with blood the color of an overripe lingonberry. She drinks brown sewage water straight out of the canal and uses it to brew coffee in an old pot. She has at least 1,000 glass jars in her cellar, all filled with what looks like black milk. That's why her tongue is always so black. Nobody knows what the black milk actually is, but it keeps her alive. She never gets sick. Not even when she eats poisonous white amanita mushrooms and weaves ropes out of live adders. Someone saw her dragging a boat in the canal one misty morning with one of those ropes made of adders, and the boat brimmed with 1,000 live adders. A human child was seen struggling underneath the pile of snakes, but nobody saw the child's face. She won't set foot in that boat herself. No way. Because she's afraid of water, except the shallow water in the canal and the sewage water she drinks. She also won't wet her feet in the sea, not even if the shore were on fire. The sea is her enemy. She can't even stand its smell. Yet she stays near the shore and won't leave. The devil only knows why. Sometimes, when dusk falls, she pretends to be a little girl. She squeezes her bones into her body's cavities and slumps to look shorter. She hides her hatchet between rocks and walks straight up to fishermen on the shore, cooing to them in a childlike voice that there's some fine pussy available and nobody else ever needs to know. Those who have talked about this have described her pussy looking like a sucking mouth that mumbles and smacks its lips. If you have sex with her, you end up going to the hospital where they won't be able to recognize the weird bacteria they see under the microscope. When the first Somalis moved into the apartment buildings, you could hear her hissing at the edge of the woods and parking lots after it got dark. When the first girl was delivered to the granny, she kept her alive and wondered what the hell this is, this thing that's darker than her sewage water coffee. She tore the girl's scarf off and allowed the wind to press it to her own face, and then she just stood there blindly facing the sea, probably smelling the bazaars from distant lands. She stood like that for so long that the girl slipped away. Granny's taken many others since her.